Hey, what's up everyone, I'm back with 5 cool mods for you today. None of these fit a particular theme, I just thought it would be 5 interesting mods to share with you all. The first mod I have for you today is a player home mod, or to be more specific, it's the Goodneighbor Condo player home. After arriving in Goodneighbor, make your way to the broken down wall behind Cleo's store, and you'll notice that a new door has appeared. After reading the note left on the door for us, we find out that Daisy will actually sell us the key to this condo. I managed to pick it up quite cheap, but if you're playing a low charisma character, then it might not be as easy to pick up. Upon entering, the first thing you're going to want to do is to turn all the lights on. This is done at the terminal you'll see when you first enter. Now, as player homes go, this has to be one of the best ones I've ever seen. It's got everything you could ever need, and some things you didn't even think you needed. This here is a water purifier, and this is a fusion core charger, both of which only take 24 hours to complete. Now, taking a look in the basement is where things get really interesting. The mod author has spared no expense in making one of the best workshops I've seen. Whether it's the custom workbenches or even the bed for dog meat, the level of detail is undeniable. But carrying on with the theme of attention to detail, look at these ammo shelves. Notice how they increase and decrease the amount of stuff on the shelves as I'm placing ammo into them. Now, moving on to the living space. Again, the same amount of attention to detail has been shown here. Everything from the clutter, paintings on the walls, the plants, the containers, it just makes the whole space feel very lived in. The mod author has also thrown in your own personal bathroom. As well as this, there is also a new use surgery chair. Now, I know what you're thinking. What if I've got a companion? Not to worry, there is also a spare room on the top floor, with of course, a personal bathroom. In conclusion, I'd have to say this is for sure one of my favourite player home mods. It just offers so much, like the ability to fast travel in and out of it rather than having to go through Goodneighbor. The mod author has clearly put a lot of time into this. Speaking of a lot of time, that brings us on to the next mod, which is HoloTime. Now, this isn't some crazy complicated mod, it simply does one thing very well. It just shows you the in-game time on your HUD. Opening up the MCM, we can see all of the options available. Status will allow us to turn on or off the mod. Time mode will affect whether you see real life time or in-game time. Now, there are a couple of hotkeys you can set up. Toggle display and hold display. I understand that the difference is quite hard to show. Now, you also have some options when it comes to the look of your widget. Only want the time? That's fine. Or just the time bar, or both. And of course the widget can be moved to anywhere on the screen. And the next mod I have for you today is Robo Leg Outfits. This is something that surprises me that's not in the base game. In a world of synths and robots, why aren't there people with robotic limbs or augmentations? Anyways, making your way over to a chem station under the Robo Leg section, you'll be able to craft the 12 new apparel items including the 11 outfits. Now, these outfits look brilliant, and more importantly they look lore friendly. I could actually see these existing in the game. Now, as always, you have one for every faction, of course, if that's what you're looking for. These outfits aren't going to give you any kind of crazy stats or insane carry capacity. Instead, they just give you the odd special point here or there, which in my opinion is a lot better. As well as being able to craft the outfits, you'll also be able to craft the Railroad Stealth HUD. This will activate Stealth Boy-like cover when crouched. Thankfully, both the HUD and the outfits both support Ballistic Weave, but only the outfit gets miscellaneous upgrades, and you can still have your standard armor pieces on top. Now, speaking of armor pieces, that's going to bring us on to the next mod I have for you, which is Cross Pre-War Cybernetics. Now, if you've ever wanted a super badass Iron Man-like suit, then this is definitely the mod you're going to need. Firstly, you're going to need to craft a cyber crafting bench. This will allow you to craft the items added by this mod, each of which have their own relevant perk requirements. Now, by default, the armor itself already looks fantastic, and it only gets better when you add upgrades on top of it. Taking a look at the armor in the workbench, we can see all of the variations available. This, for example, is a fully connected T51 suit, and this is a fully connected T45. And this is a random combination that I thought looked pretty sweet. Now, the base armor is going to offer you a small amount of damage reduction and the arms are going to give you +1 strength each, and the legs will give you +1 endurance. Now on to upgrades. The arms have a very wide variety of upgrade options, expanding on the base game options and adding more choice, while still leaving in the vanilla ones. Personally, however, I would still recommend taking either deep pocket or ultralight build, as these suits tend to be very heavy, especially if you have medium or even heavy armor plating. Now there is also an option called Uniframe Mod. This is simply going to give you +1 special or 5% movement speed for each armor piece. Now the legs have much different options to the arms. Most of the upgrades revolve around carry weight, sneaking, or running faster, or countering fall damage. Again, I would personally recommend the load bearing enhancement, as these armors are particularly heavy. And of course the legs also have the Uniframe mod. Now as for the chest plate, this has many similar upgrades to a vanilla chest plate, with a couple of new ones, and an entirely new option called spine implants. This will mainly give you better sneak, healing, or damage reduction. And of course this has the Uniframe mod as well. Now this mod doesn't just offer a powerful suit, but also an exoframe support. Now this is going to offer you some of the benefits of the suit, but it's not going to give you the damage reduction. Looking over the upgrades real quick, we can see that they essentially only have the gadget or miscellaneous upgrades. Some of these options only being available if you link the two items, which I guess is to be expected when you're using a frame rather than a suit. Overall, I really like this mod. It might come across as a bit overpowered, but with the perk requirements for everything, it seems a little bit more balanced. So it's only as powerful as you want to make it. And today's weapon mod is the Rheinmetall EG7. Now this is a fantastic weapon. If you've ever wanted to turn your enemies into a pile of green goo, then this is definitely the weapon for you. It's honestly so much fun to use, and I honestly can't believe it took me this long to install this mod. Firstly, it looks fantastic. It's still reminiscent of the old boxy style laser weapons from the Institute, but still looks so much better. It actually looks like it could deal some damage. The first thing you're going to notice after opening this weapon up in the workbench is the sheer amount of customization options that this weapon has. It's got your standard grip, stock, sight attachments of course, but what interests me the most is in the attachment section. Of course you have the no attachment option, and taking that will make your gun shoot a lot like this. Taking the accelerator attachment will make your gun shoot more like a sniper rifle, giving it more damage and more range, and make it shoot like this. And finally we have the splitter attachment. This is going to increase the pellets that your gun shoots, making it fire like a shotgun, as you can see here. As well as changing the firing pattern, you can also change the colour of the projectile. You can do this by modifying the barrel. Now onto firing modes. You have 5 options, 1 semi-automatic and 4 automatic. For each damage increase you give the weapon, there will be a penalty to the fire rate. This is 20% recharge, 40% recharge, 60% recharge, and finally 80% recharge. And of course you have the semi-auto fire mode, but that needs no explanation. But now let's talk about something a bit more aesthetic. The skins on this weapon are fantastic. Of course you have your standard faction skins, and there's a few miscellaneous ones thrown in there as well. All in all, I'd have to say, if you enjoy laser weapons but don't like the vanilla one because it's too boxy or just not very fun, then this weapon is definitely worth a download. With the amount of options it has, it's sure to keep you entertained for many hours. I just want to say, if you made it to this part of the video, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next one.